But at the same time, it started this whole trajectory of like mass tourism and the production of Thai women as like submissive, exotic beauty, which feeds into a lot of these relationships.
Welcome to a new THAISPORA episode, a podcast about the stories of the Thai diaspora community. Well, this episode will be primarily in English. I brought you with me a bunch of wonderful people. With me, I have San Uttamashot, co-founder of Un.thai.tled, which is a collective of Thai creators based in Berlin. There's also Alice Raksasilapan with me, a physical performer and dancer. And last but not least, Osaya Namsai Enghyun, who is a filmmaker slash anthropologist. And welcome to the show. Where in the world are you?
I'm in Berlin.
I'm in Bangkok, so
And
it's
I'm
evening already.
Oh, I'm too jealous. I want to go back to Bangkok as well.
And I'm in Hamburg.
Actually, you are my neighbor because I'm also in Hamburg right now. How are you guys feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm a bit tired. I hope I'm still making sense because it's been a long day and it's evening already. And I also have an 8-month-old little baby girl who keeps me very busy.
Oh, so
in the best ways. Yeah. But I'm really happy actually to talk to you all about the project and to have this conversation.
Can you guys give us a short introduction about yourself? So what are your work and what are you aiming for?
Maybe I just go first for the collective. So we are here on a kind of on behalf of this collective Un.thai.tled that we start. In case people don't know, we started in 2019 and with Sanupu Adan and the other people, kind of sort of DIY art making practice, like it was literally no funding, it just me and friend cutting papers and putting on the wall kind of thing. I think now we are speaking in 2024, so we came, I think, pretty far. I think we managed to collect a certain members, including in this room, who coming active. I hope that we all can create a kind of collaborative collective somehow. I live in Berlin since 2014, and I think also even related to Thai diaspora. I mean, when you arrived to Germany, then you felt a bit sort of kind of alone in terms of your mother tongue and your sort of sense of not just community, but like cultural reference, if you would call that. So I think the Thai community in general is very scattered, barely have this sort of chunk, like let's say comparing to the quote unquote Chinese communities. I did not speak Thai for like 2 years in a row when I arrived here. So can you imagine that you kind of lost this a bit mother tongue? And so I started this group also kind of to bring us together back. Usually I'm a filmmaker and my work mostly on topics of the queer communities in Berlin and in the music, in the nightlife. That's sort of my filmmaking practice. When I have this collective, then I kind of go out with more direction of archive research. Like some parallel thing that I enjoy doing is sort of not making film, but rather like research into history, like kind of bring back some history that some people don't really realize. I think and I'm so random. So
what about you, Raksa? What's your center focus of your work?
Yeah, my main medium is body. So I focus more on how my body can convey messages or convey story. And I use a lot of methods from theater, for example, and I also explore the societal norms or personal interpretation in a various way without judgment. I try without judgment. It's hard, but yeah, it's interesting to try that. So more or less, yeah.
Oh, cool.
I met Sarn like many years ago now. And then our first conversation was already like really healing for me in a way because I grew up in Germany and my dad is Thai, my mom is German, but I spent all my childhood in Germany, but I often went to Thailand like every year, but I never had like a Thai community within Germany. I started to become more interested in Thailand or knowing more about Thailand. So I did an MA in Asian studies, but at the same time, I felt not happy with the way Asians were talked about in like some of the texts we've been reading. So I did like this whole journey of like reading critical theory, trying to understand my intuitive feeling of what feels wrong, and went like into decolonial things. And I think Sarn and I, we shared like this desire to deconstruct things and to give other representations and things like that. And that's when we started collaborating, and we've been doing the film festival together. And then I also through Sound met like all these other amazing Thai creatives like Alice, for example. In the research, we have a lot of conversations amongst each other. It's like a collaboration in like the whole process. It feels like a really great space. Because of my experience of growing up in Germany, was really obsessed with this notion of the Thai woman stereotype and how people perceive people who are red as like an Asian woman or a Thai woman specifically. That was something that I was really obsessing about because I needed to understand how it affects my life, and then later on also how it affects the lives of other people. I do it through like film, through like anthropological practices, like in conversation with critical theory. Yeah.
I see like similar parallels to my life because I also grew mostly in Germany, but I was never like attached to my culture or the Thai culture in general, despite the fact that Berlin, for example, has like one of the big Thai communities in Germany. But when I was growing up, I never asked like anything about specifically about Thailand because it was so far away from me and was so far away from my reality. But still, people perceive me like as an Asian or Southeast Asian woman. But I still feel Western, which is good transfer to our today's topic because you guys have prepared like an exhibition which will be soon coming out in March. This is called In Nobody's Service, the stories of love, sex, marriage, care for the Thai and Filipina bodies in the German Bundesrepublik, which will be held at Galerie Wedding from 8th of March. But before we get into this, actually, I always do this with all of my guests. They are like some breaking the ice phrases, and I would like to ask you to fulfill them. People often assume that
I think it's my own opinion. I think people assume me as I am kind and I am like a nice person because I smile all the time. I am somehow Asian, and that should be like you should be kind if you look Asian.
yeah,
I
totally.
was gonna say the same. People assume of me that I'm like a really nice person. When I act out of this pattern or expectations, it really, really confuses people. Like if I'm like angry or loud or raise my
I mean, I
voice,
think
it like
it's on the note of that. I think because like it's also Germany in general is not. I mean, it has horrible service sector, and no one really smile, right? When you are being othered or come from some other place, and you are kind of expect to fulfill that smile for the German because they don't have this culture of sort of gratefulness somehow in relationship. I think for me, then I would go for like people assume that I cook very well. Let's say when you are quote unquote migrant or when you are growing up or let's say stay in Germany because like I grew up in Bangkok actually. Bangkok, you can walk 2 minutes from your house at the food street and you buy like the most delicious whatever you want in your life that costs less than €5. I've been buying food from the streets my whole life and I never have to cook. Then, when you come to Germany, then you have to cook. And then I'm like, shit. I'm so horrible with this. I mean, I understand that, like, I mean, that Germans also expect you to cook like this delicious food from your culture, which can be also sometimes annoying.
Yeah, but then suddenly you cook something with fermented crabs or fermented shrimp paste, anything else, and then it's not that tasty anymore for most Europeans. I feel home when
I think I feel home when I'm around people where I feel safe.
For me, it's kind of tough question. I'm quite stable for how I feel home. So anywhere in the world, I feel home when I'm with myself. I think when I have time for myself, and then I just feel relaxed, and that's home already.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
When I went to Thailand last year for also researching again about this project, I was hearing these sounds of birds flying home. I mean, I think there's very different birds that go direction east when it is in Southeast Asia or in Europe. It's a very different type of birds and they sound so different. I remember I was sitting on this motorcycle going through northeast Thailand and there's this sound of bird and I just start crying. It's something that you also cannot describe, like this feeling of home. I mean, you can't even put into words.
I associate Southeast Asia with
This is big and kind of also nicely complicated. I think one I appreciate the most is sense of informality or sense of kind of not following or adhering to the rules. When you see them taking up their space in Germany and no one follows, it's like I don't know, Ordnungsamt, you cannot cook here. It's like who cares? We will do it, And I appreciate that so much.
Relating to what you said, the sense of community, the sense of support, the sense of care for each other, that's not always based on monetary exchange, like care that people do informally for each other. That's something I really like. Funnily, like when you asked this question just now, I was also thinking in this double layer about the term Southeast Asia itself, which was given to the region from outside. It's not like how, and it's also like such a diversity. And even like one country, like when you look at Thailand, the north, the south, like it's so different. So sometimes I also have like a weird feeling about this term because it was given like for means of domination, like during the war, and it was ascribed from outside, but now it exists and we won't get rid of it anymore. So it's also, I guess, always this like reclaiming and this constant balance of like being called something and then what is it really, like who can you be as a region and what are the commonalities. I think it's a very loaded terrain that we always have to navigate.
I could think about some kind of like tools that lead people together into the kind of like community space or something. That Southeast Asian people, we value a lot on about food and it's just so organic.
In Germany, I've never experienced.
I mean, there's this sort of famous phrase in Thailand saying "ไม่เป็นไรออกเกรงใจ." I guess everyone agrees that this is sort of, and for those who are listening and don't know what this means, it means sort of is fine, but it's kind of like alles gut in German, but I think alles gut in German is sort of like not meaning it, but I think in Thai in the culture it meant something more like you don't really take things too serious. So you come late, fine. Like I mean, I don't care. So there's this sort of humbleness in this sort of alles gut. When you move to Germany, then you're a bit culture shocked by, do you want to eat? Yes, go eat. It's like very straightforward.
I grew up in Germany, but I actually moved to Thailand about a year ago. And now it's the first time that I actually live here. And what has become more and more clear to me, I really romanticized Thailand so much. And I was like, oh my God, I hate Germany. I want to be Thai. I love Thailand. Like very black and white thinking, but it's not as easy as this, obviously. So now spending time in Thailand, there's one thing that I just can't get my head around is like the class system. There's like different values attached to humans, just like labor, like a lot of migrant workers here who work like on constructions, really not good working conditions, and domestic helpers. It's unbelievable. Like, and that like a society just runs on this kind of labor, thinks it's like super not even discussed that this might be extremely problematic. I'm thinking about this a lot because I have a child and I wonder like what kind of worldview do I want to like give to her. Not that it doesn't exist in Germany as well, but I haven't experienced it to that extent in Germany. When I did a work with the Thai women in Germany, who lived in Germany for like 20, 30 years, this was actually something that they mentioned to me, that in Germany, they're just human. They would feel more respected that they were maybe back in Thailand. And when she said that to me, I didn't really understand what she was saying. I mean, I understood it, but I didn't really get it. It's just a very different, but like a different reality in a way.
Yeah, this is a quite astonishing point, actually, that you gotta leave your own country, like to go to another one just to experience how's it like to be a human again.
It's hard to say for me. I agree with San with the point of the migrant right phrase that I think I haven't experienced as much here in Germany.
Mhm.
Another point that I could think of would be like work culture. Like in all Thai restaurant or in Thai massage, how they make a system for Thai workers. I haven't heard that much in Germany. As you know, there's a lot of Thai restaurant or Thai workers that
Mm.
work inclusively with Thai people, right? I would love to hear more how they make this system more beneficial for Thai people.
Last
Like
question. The most wholesome thing I've experienced was
Again, going back to what you talk about food, like because I went to the north and to Isan, and no matter who I would meet, they would just cook for me. In Isan, I was fed like proper good quality Isan food almost every day. These are not my family. These are like strangers that I got to meet through someone of someone. You feel that you have a part of extended family somehow, even it's not like forever. I also going through something in my mental health, and to be able to sit with stranger who just treat me like a part of their family, it was magical. And I actually cried because you wish that you could have that more in Germany somehow. This just people coming together and share space.
I mean, last year I also went to Thailand and I met some of my former students who are from the Karen tribe. And one of the students gave me hand-woven bags that their mom made it for me. And I was like, oh, why do I have to receive this? This is so cute. And even though I spent only like a few months with them, with these kids, they are still like texting me and asking me how are you, and they try to improve their English. So
last year in December, I started to come back to learn German. I want to improve my German, and then I went to the class where I met so many people, different background, and also met Thai people, and I felt kind of like interesting to see like all of that all people just try their best to integrate to this country, and it's just fascinating to listen to them, to observe them. It's just wholesome moment because normally it's just stay at home. Normally I'm introvert person. Sometimes I exclude myself from the world. Even though I'm in Germany, there's a lot of people, it's a lot of new culture, but then when I step out to the world and just observe how people try their best to the new country, to the new land, to new things, it's just so good. It's just so amazing.
I think for me, wholesome is really related also to body and like how maybe also like sometimes things are stored in the body. After I had my baby, of course your body is like so confused and so like overextended and everything too. But then in the healing process, I was so lucky to be in Thailand because you can get all these postpartum massages and herbal steams. And there's just this woman coming and she massaged me and put like herbal compresses on me. She put up a tent in our shower, put herbs in the rice cooker, and she was there for me for 5 days, and all she did was like massaging me and like trying to help my body to heal basically. And that was so wholesome and so special also that someone would like spend so much time and dedication and care to just make you feel better, and kind of also telling you you deserve this because you went through so much.
I'm wondering if there's like the same procedure in Germany if you like gave birth and there's like someone who's like treating you well. Is there like someone
They
similar?
focus on the baby in Germany. You have the midwives, like the Hebamme, coming to the house, but it's very baby focused, and the mother is like a vessel. People forget that if the mother is not well, it's also pretty bad for the baby in the end.
Oh, so many wholesome stories. So, well, your exhibition actually deals with the phenomenon of Asian women marrying white Europeans, predominantly from Thailand and the Philippines. For all the folks outside, can you give us a short historical context of this phenomenon? Why is this the case?
Originally start our exhibition on the Thai Park. Maybe I would just touch there a little bit.
Yes.
In 2019, in the beginning of our collective, we got contact by Museum Charlottenburg for a research exhibition on the Thai community in Poison Park, where the women, come and sell food. Basically, Sweden there was Rosalia, was basically everyone in this exhibition, and we look at the phenomenon back then of the food and the surface of it. So Rosalia made a video called Complicated Happiness when tries to argue that what you see is just a surface and there's so much underneath it that there's so much not about food, but about the safe space and being together. And from that Thai Park project, we realized that there was an elephant in a room called women, but we didn't really kind of go there. We went on more like Thai Park was a space. So we focused on the space. And so I think since that project, we realized that, let's go into this hard topic called women or trans women, including. We applied for Academie der Kunst research grant in 2022, and we got it. And so each of us have different disciplines to approach this, maybe history, maybe the present time of women. It was me, it was Rosalia, Alice Raksa, and Natapong, and who's used sketching. And Alice is more like the body and performance, and Rosalia's film, and I doing the archive. I mean, the mythology is this American GIs, soldiers who were fighting the Vietnam War that was stationed in North Thailand or even throughout, and led to this sort of, kind of sex work and love stories and migration to the West. So that was sort of like the mythology. Personally, I think it's also a lot like not to completely trust this mythology, but maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But you kind of see where it's coming from, right? The link between sex, tourism, exotic, and migration are just all linked back then since the 80s. I think also even Rosalia in Complicated Happiness, you did shot a scene in the American base in Thailand, right?
Yeah, I did. What was very interesting when I went there and talked to the locals about it, I mean, you also still have a lot of Western men living there. Some of them like look back at the times of the Americans being stationed there, also with a certain nostalgia, because they say like a lot of events happened and there were cinemas and they had access to like all these movies. So it was interesting to hear that there wasn't like only this negativity attached to it here. And then there were other times, I guess, for the region in Isan specifically, that maybe the center is in Bangkok, everything happening in Bangkok. But at the same time, it started this whole trajectory of like mass tourism and the production of Thai women as like submissive, exotic beauty, which feeds into a lot of these relationships as like kind of like an expectation. And it's based on power inequalities, right?
And how do you tackle these power structures and like this inequality in your artistic work? So what will we be seeing in the exhibition?
We went on field research. We went to Hamburg, Frankfurt. I think Alice went to Braunschweig, and I went to Duisburg. You were in America back then, so we got some material from America too. We touched a lot of parts of the West. We went to sex brothel. I could not enter, but Natapong went in it in Frankfurt, where the Thai sex worker work.
Hey, I'm Natapong Samakgail, an artist based in Berlin, Germany. I'm a painter and I create drawing in many places in Berlin, and I draw people in the dark room. I like to do like intuitive drawing. Yeah, in the dark room, when the people having sex or looking for sex, and I just sit in the corner and draw bright drawing. I have many series of drawing in the club to in back high. I draw people in dancing floor. Now you shift because you used to focus a lot on
on gay queer space, and now somehow I think since 2 or 3 years you move the side of observation to you did a series called กรุงเทพมหานคร but you also did a series in Frankfurt. Why did you do this shift?
Nightlife in Berlin inspired me a lot, but from this project I want to use my practice or my drawing to express myself in Frankfurt in red light district. I went inside the brothel. I tried to draw the people in the real situation. I can translate what I think or what I feel inside me, transfer it on paper. I would like to explore more, not just only nightlife.
I think I remember we were walking, and it was very smelly, and I was really scared somehow.
You know that in the red light district in Frankfurt, Hauptbahnhof, there are a lot of junkies. I show you. I have to did like a undercover like a junkie because you have to be like a people there, and you feel secure. You don't feel like a tourist or something. I just saw the big group of the young guys, 4 5 boys, and they went inside the brothel, and I just went with the group of the guys there. There's like a 5 floor, and every floor you can see the girl sit on the chair in front of her rooms, and they say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I heard that they negotiate the price. I feel so sad, and I wanted to draw inside the brothel, but there are a lot of cameras, and I feel like, hey, somebody gonna catch me. I feel so dangerous there. That's why I did I observed and I just noticed everything inside. After that, I went outside and tried to draw in front of brothels. Sure, you don't feel so comfortable.
I think this was also kind of what we felt during this research. Somehow it's like did all these works that many Thai women and trans women do put them in a very vulnerable position, right? Because I mean they are in this place when it's tentative look for us very dangerous. Usually we are artists, so we don't go to this kind of place anyway.
We just go to the dark room.
Or I think Alice, you did also research in the massage salon on the body and labor, right?
At first, I questioned myself a lot. How do I view myself as a Thai woman living in Europe? The next question is that I look Thai, and then can I feel sexy with myself? It's kind of like a tough question for me because I relate this kind of like sex work in Thailand. Because I mean, I look Thai. If I do sexy dance or sexy pose, do people look me as a sex worker or not? And if they look, what's wrong with that? Do I feel offended by that? I took another step to find a way to work with that, to observe something else. So I worked as a Thai masseuse in a Thai massage for 6 months, and that's a lot of experience to gain. Somehow that's kind of like duality of Thai massage that linked to positive aspect as a kind of healing method, and another kind of Thai massage where people perceive as a kind of like sex work or happy ending. From that point, I gain a lot of insight into this Thai massage industry, especially in Germany. I feel like I don't have right to talk about that. It's their story, it's their stuff, and I don't want to bring that to the surface. How do I have a right to talk about it if they don't know that I'm doing that? I'm just just to say I'm not a spy. I just go that to explore that and learn that, right?
Alice performance is on 21st April and 18 May. So there will be like kind of 2 parts, just saying for the dates in case anyone is interested.
Yeah, it's good to know actually. Yeah, how do the women at these massage parlors feel? Are they aware of this objectified sexist gaze, or how do they handle it actually, or they're just ignoring it? So what were your experiences?
I got asked twice if I offer like a happy ending service, but at first I just feel sorry for them. I mean, how do they know if is a place offer that or not? And secondly, and I ask myself, if I don't look like Thai, if I have like a blonde hair, or if I have like a, if I'm just German doing a massage, do I get the same question? Some of the workers, when they got asked, they felt angry and they felt like offended. Sometimes they just throw people out of their store. I feel both for the
Yeah.
men and for the customer and for the workers as well.
Yeah, so I was also like exactly what you were talking about, Alice. Would this have happened if I was like a blonde German woman? I think in my work, I was really trying to look into the history and try to understand how this formed and what happened. If you read about the history of Thai massage, also on the internet, there's like one history of Thai massage that's constantly like reiterated. And it's like really, I think, copy pasted. Oh, it comes from the times of the Buddha and it like was first in the temples. It like was spread all over the world. It's like this ancient healing method. It's a very particular kind of story that doesn't tell other stories. That's like the origin stories that I guess Thai massage parlors worldwide are very proud of, and they are not talking about like the Cold War and about marriage migration, about mass tourism, about sex tourism, because this is something they wish to distance themselves from. Or even if they offer these services, they don't want to officially label themselves as like because of legal reasons and all of these things. For Thai massage in particular, the first school of Thai massage that teaches Thai massage to foreigners is in Chiang Mai. And there was this one person who is actually a German person who published the first book of Thai massage, the first manual. And this is not so much for the Thai women who learn it in like some workshops or at Wat Phu, which is like the state institution for Thai massage, but for all these foreigners who also offer Thai massage in their like esoteric wellness yoga circles. And this German man had a massive influence in how he translated it and he interpreted it and he added his own interpretation to it. And the way Thai massage is practiced now or has become to being practiced with tourists and foreigners who don't have a particular issue in their body, more like for relaxation, because it was meant to be for healing. So when it is for relaxation, it's this like full body holistic thing. But when you go to have an actual medicinal Thai massage, they will just focus on the points that are stuck in your body. And it's always different. And you could even make the argument that Thai massage is not Thai. Like it has so many influences. This German guy who translated it, then like so many different influences. Thai traditional medicine in itself has a lot of Chinese influence, has a lot of influence also from Ayurveda. So it's so much more complicated. But still, then we go to Germany and people always think, oh, Germany, like Thai massage, sex work. It's like still so simple when it's actually not.
I mean, many influences came from other countries and other cultures. So it's very difficult to say what is specifically Thai actually, because this is more like collective, like an accumulative expression for what we are saying, what is really Thai actually. I think it's also interesting that most of the massage or Thai massage, as we so to say, is correlated with Buddhism, spirituality, and wellness. But I also think it's also detached from its own history.
To continue that thought, maybe because when you shift this to Germany, like Colette said earlier, class became sort of blurred somehow because German history and thing. I mean, of course, there are class that maybe a bit say argue that it's more race in Germany than class. And in some aspects, everything in Thailand you see clearly where the class stands. So the royalists kind of more like pure holistic practice versus the folk, the tribal healing practice looks so different and you can see it clearly. But when it gets sort of compressed together into one layer, import to Germany, then you don't see anymore where exactly things might come from, right? So here you just have two class, which are the healing massage salon, which it doesn't offer happy ending, and the second class is the happy ending one, which is kind of more dirty, quote unquote, kind of more, tacky in a way. I think we as an artist, now we see class and we try to kind of tackle down that reality somehow. It's also kind of weird because even to make it very personal, if I would want to work in a massage or even in a sex brothel, then they will say, yeah, but you are from the educated class. I don't think you fit here. There's also this kind of like the background that adds on to this whole industry. But I think it's also kind of why our project or exhibition or things in general can be interesting because we really bring ourselves into the research. And I think the positionality of us comes almost first in all of this artwork that we are showing in the project. I mean, we have the archive corner where me and Visnu Puadan is creating. We went around Thailand when we interview people who used to live in the West. And from the archive footage that I collect, we mix of kind of interviews from now with the interviews from the past. So there were interviews that were recorded in the 90s that we used to mix it with now. So I think one of the first thing that people always say is that I'm not that kind of woman when you start them with the question of how you move to the West. It's a very weird phrase. I'm not that kind of woman. So like, what kind of women? This is a very kind of also almost a classist anti-sex work rhetoric going on that we are so afraid of.
This is something we really believe and really feel, that there's nothing wrong with being a sex worker. But at the same time, I have definitely had moments where I also had this urge to distance myself and to kind of explain or somehow like perform to the other person I'm encountering like that I'm not like that. And this is something that you constantly need to remind yourself, yes, I don't want to be read as that, but even if I was, there shouldn't be a problem with it. What I often do is like I talk to a lot of people, I observe a lot, and then I write fiction almost, but it's not fiction because it's all like very true, but you can't really trace it to a face. It's more like a reaction, going to so many different sources, like historical and then also contemporary, and just talking to people to making sense of the situation and trying to tell the story a bit differently. Or you kind of owe these people respect and dignity.
There's a work that from Natapong in the exhibition, and other artists, Natapong went to say, the sex brothel, right? And really sort of stood and experienced in front of these women, and a lot of them actually trans women. Again, I could not enter this space because I am perceived not as men. Like I have long hair, I wore skirt. So why would someone queer or look like women go up in a sex brothel, right? But Natapong is gay, but he looks like men. So he could go in. And that's already also interesting that not every gender and not everyone can even access this space. Dealing with trans women coming here, seeing their life, it's so much involved with sex because the cliche, but the story is that they try to find money in the West so that they can finance their operation and reassignment surgery. So I got in an interview that they feel in Thailand they will be seen as ladyboy, but in the West they could, I use the word could, be seen as women. That was their reason of coming to the West, was not just look for money. They look for someone who treat them on the paper as women.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the perception of Thai women and the connection to the history of the Cold War and sex tourism, but we actually didn't mention a lot about the women from the Philippines. So I'm not from this region and I'm not really familiar with the topics, but maybe you can elaborate on this. So how are women from the Philippines connected to Germany and how do they fit in all of this in this service sector?
Because I'm doing this archive corner and we involve, for example, Ban Ying, which is one of the oldest migrant house and consulting center for migrant women in Berlin. From researching the archive and the movies even that was produced with Ban Ying, I realized that there were Filipino women who are also involved in this case. I think it's also very bound because, in 1954, there was a pact between America, Thailand, and Philippines called CITO, Southeast Asian Treaty Alliance, basically against communism. Philippines and Thailand were basically on the quote unquote Western influence, apart from being, American colonies. And so with that trajectory, of course, there was this movement of women and domestic labor, submissive role was kind of, let's say, common for us too. Of course, we have also similar era of dictatorship. So in the 70s, Thailand have this Sarit Thanarat who embraced the American soldier, and Philippines has Marcos. almost the same. There's a lot of shared common history here. I realized that I curate sort of also two Filipino artists in this group show, which is Crisanta, who works at Banying actually as a consultant, as a translator. And basically Crisanta draws the women who, let's say, ask for help for, legal reasons from behind. And then Crisanta collect their thoughts, their dreams, and their poems in a postcard. And this will be also exhibit in the exhibition. And we have Jasmine Werner who worked with domestic worker, so which got famous from the Philippines, like the housemaid, which was also a lot in the Middle East. So in Dubai, there was this building Burj Khalifa that was built from the material of the Schloss der Republik from the GDR, and actually a lot of Filipino workers were the one who built this in Dubai. And so Jasmine Werner works with this construction work materials and how the Filipino worker build a sense of home, a sense of distance through this very almost patriarchal construction materials. So these are sculpture pieces that we will show in exhibition as well. And we show also movies, which will be mostly in May. We show also like Stefanos Sai, We Don't Dance for Nothing, which is kind of a photo montage poem to Filipino workers in Hong Kong, and Hardbound, which is about this with Thai women in Denmark. It was shot for 10 years, and we're gonna have a talk with the director, and we are showing also บุญรอดผู้หญิงคนนั้นชื่อบุญรอด from 1985, exactly about the Thai women who fall in love with the American soldier in North Thailand. So these are the programs that sort of accompany the exhibition as well.
Many topics actually represent here. The Philippines has like a long history of colonial oppression. I mean, like they were also like a Spanish colony back then. And I'm wondering, why would women from the Philippines migrate to Germany? Is it like it's not even better like to migrate to Spain or like to UK, or why Germany?
It's all kind of a question mark. I mean, also same, why would women from Thailand come to Germany in a cold, far away place? I think for the first generation migrant, they were not even looking for the word Germany. Like also, especially if you look at the Vietnamese boat people that I came into contact with, all they did was just to go to the West. Doesn't matter. They can end up in Sweden. They can end up in Denmark. They don't care. They just need to go to the West.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And often there's like pre-existing networks. People go, that's like also what this documentary that is also going to be shown. One woman, and then she brings like other women. So it's like sharing the knowledge of the journey on where to go, like even finding like a husband and things like that. That was also a question that I had. What is life back in Thailand like, that this seems to be the better option that makes you leave your home, your family, everything? That's like the answer lies in like colonial capitalist imperial systems, obviously, much more than like individual like desire for adventure or like moving to Germany because I always loved Germany. It's not like so much on the individual level. It's very structural.
Yeah, I think this is a valid point, because I remember when my mom wanted to migrate to the West, and she wanted actually to go to US, but she couldn't enter it because of bureaucracy reasons and of documents. And back then, I think it was like in the beginning of the 90s, that it was easier for her like to migrate to Germany. What are your expectations from the visitors? What do you expect from them?
I would say just to spark a conversation and then to provoke somehow their subconscious judgment that maybe we all have, and then just bring to the surface and explore that kind of judgment. I would love to see the raw emotion that audience can bring to the surface.
Yeah, what about you, Rosaya? What are your expectations?
I think my hope is that people have a more informed perspective on Thai massage. And on top of that, just have more questions about the origin or the pathways and processes of things, and question like such like racist and sexist stereotypes more. And then I also want to make it in a way, but I don't know if I will be successful in doing it because I'm also thinking of audiences in Germany, like us, like our community. What will they take away from it? So I hope it will also be something that can be, in a way, a bit healing or reaffirming.
Yeah, I'm looking forward also to kind of sense of like so many collective thoughts and community building that it start in this process. And I hope that this platform we create, will provide space to deconstruct, but also it allows you to reclaim some of these words. It's like basically in nobody's